the Lord of the Extinguished Sword. Chapter 4. Trial Traps and Unexpected Aid. The outer sect trading market of Qingyun Sect is bustling with people, and the clamorous noise surges like a tide. The spiritual herbs and elixirs emit an alluring fragrance, and the magical artifacts gleam with precious light, attracting everyone to stop and watch. Cultivation technique manuals are displayed on it, attracting disciples who crave power. Shen Ye's figure appeared particularly cautious in the crowd, as he carefully divided the qi gathering powder. He meticulously divided the medicinal powder, fearing any omission that might affect its efficacy. After finishing the packaging, Shen Ye raised his head, a hint of anticipation in his eyes, ready to start selling. The bustling market, crowded with people. Shen Ye's figure moved through it. In front of the dazzling array of herbal stalls, monks haggled, and the air was filled with the fragrance of herbs. Shen Ye stopped in front of a stall filled with green patterned grass. The stall owner was fiddling with an abacus. The price of Qingyun grass has gone up again. The stall owner's voice carried a hint of helplessness, not standing out in the noisy market. Shen Ye's expression was calm, his eyes deep, as if he had already anticipated the increase in the price of this herb. On the stall, the Qingyun grass emits a faint cyan glow, which is a resource that cultivators rely on for cultivation. Sunlight streamed down, and the outer gate trading market was bustling with noise and a surging crowd. Shen Ye stopped in front of a stall, his eyes fixed on a green patterned grass, his expression focused. "How much for this Qingyun grass?" he asked softly, breaking the bustle of the stall. The stall owner looked up and replied casually, 20 qi gathering powders per pound. Shen Ye frowned slightly upon hearing this, as if calculating something in his mind. The air is filled with the scent of herbs and the hubbub of bargaining as trading continues. In the bustling trading market, Qian Li, with his entourage, strutted arrogantly towards Shen Ye's stall. Qian Li's eyes were contemptuous, as if he were looking at some worthless garbage. "Yo, isn't this Shen Ye? What's this? Reduced to selling this kind of garbage?" In front of Shen Ye's stall, low-level pills emitted a faint light, but it couldn't hide his desolation. Qian Li's follower stood aside, his face full of a fawning smile, watching Shen Ye. The air was thick with the scent of mockery, making Shen Ye's situation even more difficult. The sunlight was blinding, and the outer gate trading market was bustling with noise. The clamorous sound almost drowned out Qian Li's roar. Qian Li's face was ashen, his finger almost poking Shen Ye's nose as he roared, his voice tearing through the market's noise. "Shen Ye, you actually dared to steal junior sister Lin's qi gathering pill." Qian Li's accusation was like a sharp blade, piercing the air. The crowd fell silent instantly, all eyes focused on Shen Ye, the air thick with scrutiny and suspicion. The market was bustling. Shen Ye's eyes were like ice as he stared at the trembling Qian Li. "Where's the evidence?" Shen Ye's voice was like ice, piercing the surrounding air and freezing it. Qian Li felt like he had fallen into an ice cave, and under Shen Ye's pressure, he could barely breathe. Shen Ye was surrounded by a chilling aura, and Qian Li's companions were silent as cicadas in winter, not daring to approach. The air is filled with a suffocating sense of oppression, as if a storm is about to break. Sunlight streamed down, and the outer gate trading market was bustling with noise, the clamor rising and falling. Shen Ye stood among the crowd, his expression indifferent, the qi gathering powder in his hand attracting attention. "This medicine was refined by my own hand," he said calmly. "It contains calming grass, which is different from the sect's elixirs." He slowly unfolded simple pill recipes, the ancient paper glowing a slightly yellow hue in the sunlight. The trading market was bustling, cultivators were whispering, and scornful gazes pricked at Qian Li like thorns. Qian Li's conspiracy was exposed in public, and he was as exposed as a clown, his face turning liver-colored. Surrounded on all sides, Qian Li was like a homeless dog, desperately trying to escape the suffocating accusations. In the crowd, Shen Ye watched coldly, as if he had already foreseen the ending of this farce. The sunlight shines down, and the light of justice dispels the haze, making Qian Li's figure look particularly embarrassed. In the bustling marketplace, Shen Ye stood like a mountain in front of Qian Li, and the atmosphere suddenly froze. The air is thick with the smell of gunpowder, and everyone's eyes are focused on the two figures, holding their breath. Flames of anger burned in Shen Ye's eyes. He wanted to seek justice for himself, and even more so for justice. "Qian Li, you must give me an explanation today for your slander." Shen Ye's voice was as piercing as ice. The hustle and bustle of the market seemed to disappear, leaving only Shen Ye's resounding question echoing in the air. The sunlight was blinding, and the outer gate trading market was bustling with noise, the clamorous sound surging like a tide. Qian Li felt like he had fallen into an ice cave, his face as pale as paper. He knelt on the ground, his body trembling uncontrollably. I said, it was senior brother Lin Yanqiu who instructed me to frame Shen Ye. Qian Li's voice was incoherent, bursting into the crowd with a crying tone. The crowd fell silent instantly, and all eyes were focused on Qian Li, as if the air had frozen. The bustling marketplace froze instantly at the mention of Lin Yanqiu's name, shock spreading like a tidal wave. Shen Ye's eyes were like torches, his words of warning like a sword unsheathed, aimed directly at Qian Li. Take my words to Lin Yanqiu. Shen Ye's voice was deep and full of oppression, and the air seemed to tremble with it. Qian Li's body shook, as if falling into an ice cave, cold sweat instantly soaking his back. Sunlight streamed down, and the outer gate trading market was bustling with noise and excitement. In the bustling crowd, the stall owner's face was full of smiles, his eyes eagerly fixed on Shen Ye. Young hero Shen Ye, please accept this green vein grass as a small token of my appreciation. The stall owner's voice was slightly ingratiating, remarkably clear amidst the noise. The green patterned grass glistens faintly in the sunlight, seemingly containing some kind of mysterious power. Shen Ye stood in front of the stall with a calm expression, seemingly indifferent to the stall owner's enthusiasm. The trading market is bustling with people coming and going, and various hawking sounds rise and fall, forming a lively and noisy scene of urban life. Sunlight streamed down, and the outer gate trading market was bustling with noise, a clamorous atmosphere washing over everything. Shen Ye took a herb, a hint of determination on his face barely noticeable. He insisted on paying with a pack of qi gathering powder, his eyes flashing with an unquestionable light. The air was filled with the scent of herbs and the noise of trade, making Shen Ye's figure appear particularly solitary. He seems to be upholding some principle in his heart, even in trivial transactions. The sunlight fell on his face, illuminating his young and determined features. In the bustling marketplace, Shen Ye suddenly felt an unusual gaze. His sharp eyes scanned the crowded people, trying to capture the source of that gaze. In the corner of the market, an old man in a gray robe was nodding slightly towards him, his expression inscrutable. What is hidden behind the old geezer's smile? Alarm bells rang in Shen Ye's heart. Shen Ye's eyes narrowed, and a sense of unease surged into his heart. He decided to walk over and see what was going on. In the bustling market, Shen Ye's figure moved through the crowd, his eyes fixed on an old stall in the corner. The rusty old objects gleam with a dim light in the sun, telling the story of the years. Shen Ye paused, his eyes sweeping over the old objects on the stall, as if lost in thought. The air was filled with the scent of dust, and Shen Ye's gaze finally settled on an inconspicuous object. The bustling market was crowded with people, and Shen Ye's figure moved through it, searching for items he liked. Dazzling arrays of magical artifact stalls exude an ancient and mysterious aura. Shen Ye picked up an antique-looking object, examined it carefully, and a hint of interest flashed in his eyes. Excuse me, how is this magical artifact sold? Shen Ye's voice was particularly clear in the noisy market. The ragged old man raised his head, a trace of cunning in his cloudy eyes. Give what you can afford, it's up to you. The old man's voice was hoarse and casual, as if he didn't care about the value of the magical artifact. In the bustling market, a broken sword lies quietly in a corner, its fragmented blade seeming to tell an ancient story. Shen Ye's gaze passed through the crowd, drawn to the faint glow of the broken sword, like a glimmer of hope in the darkness. On the broken sword, the aura of nether gold essence faintly appears, sparking imagination. He walked closer slowly, as if drawn by some mysterious force, wanting to uncover the secret behind the broken sword. The broken sword lay there quietly, waiting for the destined one to arrive and restore its former glory. Sunlight streamed down, and the outer gate trading market was bustling with noise, the clamor rising and falling. Shen Ye stood still, placing 3 qi gathering pills beside the broken sword, waiting for the transaction to begin. Old Thing slowly appeared, its withered hand reaching for the qi gathering powder, a glint of greed flashing in its eyes. The transaction is completed, and the Old Thing puts the qi gathering powder into his pocket, a faint smile appearing on the corner of his mouth. In the sunlight, the broken sword and the empty medicine bottle bear witness to this silent transaction. The bustling market is crowded with people, and the sunlight dances between the colorful stalls, making it extremely lively. A hunched figure squeezed through the crowd with faltering steps, approaching Shen Ye. The mist array has been tampered with, and phantasmal heartgrass has appeared nearby, so be careful. The old man's voice was low and hoarse, with a hint of unease. Shen Ye's expression was solemn as he stared at the old thing, the surrounding noise seeming to disappear. Sunlight streamed down, and the outer gate trading market was bustling with activity. Cultivators rubbed shoulders, and the shouts of vendors rose like a tide. Shen Ye stood in the crowd, cupping his hands in greeting, his gaze deep, as if he had seen through everything. The old thing is a hidden master, definitely not ordinary, Shen Ye thought to himself. The bustling crowd conceals countless secrets, and undercurrents surge in the trading market. In the sunlight, behind the bustling scene of the trading market, lies the cruelty and reality of the cultivation world. The sunlight was blinding. Shen Ye clutched the broken sword tightly, his figure traversing the bustling market alone. The old thing's warning was deafening, buzzing in his mind and lingering. His steps were heavy, each one feeling like he was stepping on cold reality, his heart filled with struggle. The hustle and bustle of the market contrasted sharply with the loneliness in his heart, making him appear even more desolate. The broken sword gleamed coldly in the sunlight, reflecting his confused yet determined eyes. He finally chose to leave, his back resolute, as if to bid farewell to everything in the past. 3 months later, in a sun-drenched training ground, a selection that would determine fate was about to begin. Standing in the center of the field is the towering dynamometer, which will determine the future of countless young people. The air is filled with a tense atmosphere, and everyone holds their breath, waiting for the trial to begin. The dynamometer stands quietly, waiting to accept challenges from all directions. The first trial, a contest of physical strength, is about to begin here. In the sunlight, Shen Ye walked towards the force measuring platform, his steps light and confident. He held his breath and concentrated, merging the body tempering method of the Annihilation Sword Manual into one strike, his power erupting like a volcano. The dynamometer roared, the numbers soared instantly, and the whole audience exclaimed. Shen Ye easily finished his stance, as if everything was under his control, fully displaying the power of the Ashes Extinction Sword Manual. The medicine fragrance permeates the herb identification pavilion, and a trial of herbal medicine knowledge is about to begin. The air is filled with the scent of various herbs, testing each trial participant's sense of smell and knowledge. Shen Ye's eyes were sharp as he searched for his target among the many herbs. I recognize 7 rare poisonous herbs. Shen Ye's voice echoed in the pavilion with a hint of confidence. A rare poisonous herb lies quietly in the medicine cabinet, waiting to be recognized by the world. In front of the medicine cabinet, the examiner stroked his beard and pondered, his eyes showing appreciation for Shen Ye. Shen Ye's erudition made the examiners nod frequently, their pens flying across the bamboo slips as they recorded. The fragrance of herbs permeated the air, and the examiner's gaze was focused and satisfied, as if he already understood Shen Ye's knowledge. The writing on the bamboo slips gradually increased, recording Shen Ye's profound insights into herbs. The examiner's praise was like a spring breeze, and Shen Ye's performance far exceeded expectations. The herbs on the medicine cabinet are quietly displayed, witnessing this contest and inheritance of knowledge. Before the misty array, an invisible pressure weighed heavily like a mountain, testing the will of every trial participant. Shen Ye's figure appeared particularly firm in the mist. He is about to step into an unknown challenge. He took a deep breath, his eyes like torches, as if to penetrate this layer of mist. With steady steps, he walked into the formation without hesitation, his figure gradually disappearing into the mist. The mist rolls, engulfing everything. The formation is filled with unknown dangers. Shen Ye's figure loomed in and out of the mist, as he faced a dual test of spirit and will. Amidst the dense mist, Shen Ye found himself alertly catching an unusual scent in the air. Within the formation, a sweet and cloying scent lingered faintly, like the allure of the illusion heartgrass. This sweet fragrance is cleverly concealed, like a gentle net, attempting to bewilder the heart. Shen Ye stood still, allowing the sweet fragrance to surround him, inwardly vigilant. He knew that the seemingly harmless sweet fragrance actually contained a deadly crisis. In this mist-laden formation, Shen Ye was like a cheetah, waiting for the appearance of his prey. Heavy fog, Shen Ye held his breath and closed all his senses. With the broken sword in hand, he was as firm as a rock, his heart clear and bright. The surrounding mist surged, as if countless eyes were spying in the dark. He stood there, unmoving, as if he had become one with the mist. Only the broken sword in my hand glimmers with a cold light. Beneath the calm surface lies an earth-shattering power about to erupt. The dense fog surged like a tide, engulfing everything, and screams echoed and twisted in the mist. The scent of illusion heartgrass permeates the air, and fear coils like a venomous snake, dragging the disciples into endless nightmares. Desperate wails echoed through the clouds. In the illusion, they fought to the death with their inner demons. In the depths of the mist, helpless souls struggle in illusions, their painful screams gradually fading. The mist was heavy, and Shen Ye's figure appeared particularly lonely within it as he groped forward in the direction of his memory. The fog is thick, and the visibility is extremely low, as if every step is into an unknown territory. Suddenly, the fog surged ahead, and a familiar figure appeared. Lin Yanqiu. Shen Ye suddenly stopped, his eyes filled with surprise and confusion, as if time had stood still at that moment. Lin Yanqiu stood there quietly, the mist surrounding her, like an illusory dream. The two faced each other in the mist, a tense atmosphere permeating the silent air. Dense fog, like gauze, obscures the road ahead, and a sense of oppression permeates the air. Lin Yanqiu had a smile on his lips as he slowly walked toward Shen Ye, but a hint of unpredictability was hidden in the depths of his eyes. "Congratulations, Shen Ye." Lin Yanqiu's voice echoed in the mist with a hint of imperceptible coldness. "But don't be happy too soon. You may not pass the final test." Lin Yanqiu's smile deepened, her words full of implication. The fog surged, and Lin Yanqiu's figure became blurred in Shen Ye's eyes, as if hiding endless secrets. The mist was heavy, and a trace of clarity flashed in Shen Ye's eyes as he realized that the scene before him was nothing but an illusion. Lin Yanqiu's figure loomed in the mist with a strange smile. Shen Ye's eyes sharpened, and the aura around him changed abruptly, filled with murderous intent. He no longer hesitated, resolutely swinging his sword to strike at the illusion before him. The sword light flashed, the mist was torn apart, and the illusion shattered instantly. In the depths of the mist, Shen Ye's figure appears even more resolute. He will shatter all illusions. The mist surged, and Lin Yanqiu's figure became blurred in the void, gradually transforming into a terrifying executioner's platform. The gloomy Zhu Xian terrace stands tall and majestic, with the chilling air of swords and shadows, making one feel suffocated. Shen Ye was escorted to the execution platform, his face pale, but his eyes burned with an unyielding flame. The executioner stood expressionlessly around Shen Ye, holding the execution implements, awaiting the order to carry out the execution. The air is thick with the scent of death. A brutal trial is about to begin. In the mist, Lin Yanqiu's figure flickered like a phantom. The ember extinction sword shone with a cold light, pointing directly at Shen Ye. A flash of sword light pierced the void, carrying determination and hatred, and stabbed toward Shen Ye's chest. A sharp blade pierced through his body, and a wave of excruciating pain washed over him. Disbelief filled Shen Ye's eyes. Blood stained his clothes. Shen Ye's body swayed, and despair spread in his eyes. The vows of the past, the betrayal of the present, all have turned into endless pain, burning in Shen Ye's heart. In the mist, the broken sword flickers with a faint light, like a star in the darkness, bringing hope. The warm and gentle light dispelled the gloom in Shen Ye's heart, bringing a moment of peace. Spiritual power, like a gentle stream, nourished Shen Ye's weary body, bringing the power of rebirth. Shen Ye's tightly closed eyes trembled slightly, as if groping for direction in the darkness. The negative emotions receded like a tide, and Shen Ye's heart gradually returned to peace. The light of the broken sword gradually dissipated, and everything returned to calm, as if nothing had ever happened. In the mist, Shen Ye gradually regained his composure, and his tense nerves slowly relaxed. He realized that the broken sword in his hand was the key to suppressing the inner demons. With the broken sword in hand, he seemed to grasp a glimmer of hope, and his eyes rekindled with light. He took a deep breath, trying to calm the turmoil in his heart, and the surrounding mist seemed to thin out a bit. He gripped the broken sword tightly, his eyes like torches, ready to face the unknown challenge. The fog was thick, and he held his breath, trying to catch a trace of anomaly hidden in the mist. A faint light flickers, and ancient runes are hidden in the mist, emitting a mysterious glow. The power of the runes surged, and the effect of the illusion grass was instantly magnified, making the mist even thicker. He felt a powerful force surge into him. His consciousness began to blur, and illusions appeared before his eyes. The fog surged in like a tide, completely engulfing him, leaving behind only endless illusion and confusion. In the dim light, the mist shrouded everything like a veil, making everything blurry. Shen Ye's lips curled into a contemptuous smile, a hint of mockery in his eyes. "Your methods are truly amateur." Shen Ye's voice echoed in the mist, filled with disdain. Lin Yanqiu's figure was faintly visible in the mist, and his expression was unclear. In the misty formation, Shen Ye's spiritual power surged around him, the broken sword in his hand, his aura like a rainbow. His eyes were like torches, locking onto the densest part of the runes, his determination overflowing. The broken sword was wielded, and spiritual power surged out, striking directly at the core of the formation, vowing to break through this heavy fog. Wherever the sword energy pointed, the runes flickered uncertainly, and the mist formation shook violently, as if about to collapse. The broken sword struck the runes, the crisp sound echoing in the mist, as if tearing through the void. The runes flickered with a faint light, and sparks flew where they collided with the broken sword. The mist began to dissipate. The mist receded like a tide, revealing the scene hidden within, but it was still hazy. The crisp sound of impact gradually subsided, and the speed at which the mist dissipated also slowed down, as if everything had returned to calm. In the mist formation, Shen Ye's figure weaves through the runes, each strike seeming to pluck at the strings of fate. His eyes were like torches, searching through the obscure runes, trying to capture that hidden trace of regularity. The air is filled with an ancient aura, as if these runes carry the secrets of 1,000 years. Every keystroke is like a probe into the unknown, and a challenge to fate. He began to realize that these seemingly disordered runes actually contained some kind of profound order. Time passed by, and within the mist formation, an invisible sense of oppression was suffocating. Shen Ye stared intently at the last rune in front of him, his expression solemn, as if he were fighting against an invisible force. Suddenly, a dazzling light flashed, and the last rune shattered with a bang. The formation began to disintegrate. The mist formation shook violently. The fog surged wildly, as if something was about to break free from its restraints. Shen Ye stood amidst the collapsing formation, his robes fluttering, his eyes like torches, watching the direction in which the mist dissipated. The mist gradually dissipated, and the sunlight poured down, dispelling the haze that shrouded the area. Outside the mist formation, Lin Yanqiu's figure appeared particularly lonely, with anger burning in her eyes. Shen Ye's success was like a sharp blade, severely piercing Lin Yanqiu's self-esteem. She clenched her teeth, as if to swallow all her unwillingness and anger. The sunlight shone on her face, but it couldn't dispel the gloom in her heart. She glared at the formation, as if she wanted to destroy it completely. At this moment, jealousy, like a venomous snake, was growing wildly in her heart. The mist gradually dissipated, and the exit of the formation appeared. The disciples staggered out, as if waking from a dream. Their eyes were hollow, their faces pale, as if their souls had been drawn away, leaving only empty shells. The aftershocks of the illusion still reverberate in their minds, making it difficult for them to distinguish between reality and illusion. They looked around blankly, trying to find their true selves, but found that everything had changed. Emerging from the fog, what fate will they face? Is it rebirth or deeper confusion? The mist dissipated, and the sunlight pierced through the clouds, illuminating the exit of the formation. The elder looked solemn as he counted the disciples who had emerged from the mist formation, his expression complex. Only 4 people. The cruelty of the mist array makes the passers seem especially precious. Shen Ye stood quietly in the line, his expression calm, showing no emotion. The other disciples had different expressions. Some were relieved, some were disappointed, and a feeling of surviving a disaster welled up in their hearts. The sunlight shines on everyone's face. The test of the mist formation has only just begun. Sunlight streamed down, and at the exit of the mist formation, the elder's kind smile was as warm as a spring breeze. The elder's eyes were filled with approval, as if he saw their infinite potential in the future. A loud announcement declared their glorious coronation, their status as inner disciples shining brightly. The sunlight shines on everyone's face, which is an anticipation of the future and an affirmation of one's own strength. They stood shoulder to shoulder, symbolizing a new beginning and foreshadowing a more glorious future. At the exit of the mist formation, the elder paused, his eyes like torches, his majestic gaze sweeping around. Report to the Inner Sect in 3 days. The elder's voice echoed in the air with an unquestionable majesty. Shen Ye stood quietly to the side, his expression calm, his eyes deep. Sunlight pierced through the clouds, casting upon Shen Ye, highlighting his resolute face. The elder turned around, his robes rustling, his figure gradually receding into the distance. Shen Ye watched the elder leave, his heart filled with anticipation and challenges for the future. The exit of the mist array, the sunlight is dazzling. Shen Ye took the token with a cold expression. The token gleamed in the sunlight, symbolizing status and power. A flash of cold light appeared in his eyes, and he glanced contemptuously at Lin Yanqiu. Lin Yanqiu's figure appeared particularly lonely in the sunlight. An invisible sense of oppression fills the air, as if a storm is about to break. In the mist-shrouded exit, Lin Yanqiu's figure appeared particularly lonely, each breath filled with a heavy sense of defeat. The sunlight struggled to penetrate the fog, but couldn't illuminate the gloom in his eyes. The bitterness of failure lingered like a shadow. His clenched fist was a silent roar, a reluctant struggle, and a questioning of himself. The mist seemed to be mocking his helplessness, each attempt sinking like a stone into the sea, without a trace. He looked up into the depths of the mist, his eyes filled with confusion, as if he could see the endless despair. The clenched fist trembled slightly. That was his last stubbornness, and also his hope to stand up again. As the first rays of dawn peeked through, a dense fog hung in the air, and a dark figure stealthily approached Lin Yanqiu, as indistinguishable as a phantom. In the mist, that person's figure was as majestic as a mountain, silently pressing down on the surrounding air. The sect leader wants you to meet him at Qingyun Hall. The deep voice pierced through the mist, carrying an unquestionable authority. Lin Yanqiu's figure appeared particularly lonely in the fog, as if about to be swallowed. The fog churned, and the figure became increasingly blurred, leaving only a sense of endless oppression. At the exit of the mist formation, Lin Yanqiu's figure appeared somewhat unsteady in the morning light, with the fear in his heart surging like a tide. His eyes flickered, as if he saw the unbearable consequences of failure, and his face turned pale. Fear was like an invisible hand, gripping his throat tightly, making him unable to breathe. He began to waver, his heart struggling fiercely between hope and despair, as if it were about to be torn apart. Lin Yanqiu's eyes were filled with fear. He seemed to foresee the worst outcome. Sunlight streamed through the window lattices, casting a warm, golden hue over the simple dormitory, as an atmosphere of farewell quietly permeated the air. Shen Ye packed his luggage swiftly, as if he wanted to pack up all the memories and take them away. In the corner, Zhao Hu's eyes were red as he silently watched all of this, the unspoken sorrow of parting filling the air. A silent farewell, especially poignant under the sunlight. The morning light filters through the window lattices, and the outer disciple dormitory is filled with the fragrance of herbs, peaceful and warm. Shen Ye gently stroked Zhao Hu's shoulder, his eyes full of encouragement and expectation. "Don't worry, Zhao Hu. I will come back to see you." Shen Ye's voice was gentle and firm, like a spring breeze. Zhao Hu raised his head, his eyes chansra with a glimmer of hope, and nodded heavily. Sunlight spills over the outer disciple's residence. Shen Ye holds simple elixir recipes in his hand, his gaze gentle. He handed the pill formula to Zhao Hu, his eyes full of expectation, as if conveying silent encouragement. Zhao Hu took the pill formula with both hands, his expression solemn, feeling the heavy expectation. Shen Ye turned and left, his back straight and tall, leaving Zhao Hu with a promise to practice diligently. Shen Ye moved through the bustling crowd, anxiously searching for something. He bypassed one stall after another, the unease in his heart gradually growing. The once familiar corner is empty, leaving only a few fallen leaves blown by the wind. The old thing's stall disappeared, as if it had never existed. Sunlight streamed down as he strolled outside the sect, his gaze sweeping across the ground. Suddenly, he stopped, as if he had discovered something, his eyes becoming focused. An ancient jade slip lay quietly in the dust, emitting a faint glow. He carefully picked up the jade slip, his fingertips caressing the Wenlu on it, his eyes full of curiosity. He held the jade slip tightly, his expression solemn, as if he sensed that it concealed an unknown secret. Sunlight streamed down, and there was tranquility outside the sect. The scent of earth permeated the air, and the ancient jade slip shimmered faintly in the sunlight. The jade slip lay quietly on the ground, as if waiting for someone predestined to arrive. The broken sword is a fragment of the Ashes Extinguished Sword, hidden in the cold pond of the West Peak, and those who are destined will obtain it. The wheels of fate are turning silently. Who will be the one chosen by this broken sword? Sunlight poured down, and Shen Ye stood frozen outside the sect, as if struck by lightning, his face filled with shock and confusion. The ancient patterns on the sword in his hand flickered, and the sealed memories surged like a tide, impacting his mind. The truth of the broken sword, the entanglements of the past life, everything swept in like a storm, making it hard for him to believe. He gripped the broken sword tightly, as if holding a piece of sealed fate, a storm raging in his heart. The sunlight was blinding. He stood at the sect's exit, a jade scroll clutched tightly in his hand, as if it weighed 1,000 pounds. His eyes were as firm as a rock, and no one could shake his determination to find the Ember Extinction Sword. The wind rustled his robes, sounding like a war drum, urging people forward. He took a deep breath, left the sect behind, and resolutely embarked on the journey. The setting sun was like blood, endlessly stretching Shen Ye's figure as he walked towards the inner gate alone. The afterglow of the setting sun spilled on his back, as if draping him in a golden armor. He walks with a steady gait, each step like a beat on the drums of destiny. The inner gate is in sight. What awaits him behind that gate? He reached out and pushed open the door to an unknown destiny. The piercing cold wind howls, and the once glorious Zuxian Terrace is now filled with a solemn and chilling atmosphere. Shen Ye looked up, his desperate gaze reflecting the figure of Lin Yanqiu holding the Ember Extinction Sword, cold as ice. Lin Yanqiu's betrayal and the theft of the Jin Mei sword plunged Shen Ye into utter despair. The vows of the past now remain only as endless mockery scattering in the cold wind. The shadow of death looms over the Juxian platform, and Shen Ye's fate is about to end here. Night falls, and the cold pond of West Peak is shrouded in a deathly silence, exuding a bone-chilling cold. A desolate cold pond, like a forgotten corner of the world, reveals loneliness. Shen Ye's figure appeared by the cold pool, further highlighting the remoteness of the place. The cold wind howled, stirring Shen Ye's robes, further accentuating his solitary and proud figure. The surface of the cold pond is as calm as a mirror, reflecting the stars in the night sky. Shen Ye stood quietly by the cold pool, as if merging with this desolation. Night falls. The cold pond is like ink, deep and bottomless. A powerful energy, like a sleeping behemoth, slowly awakens from the bottom of the pool. This confirms the existence of the Emberbane sword. Energy surges. The pool of water vibrates, as if something is about to break out of the water. Inside Qingyun Hall, the atmosphere was oppressively suffocating, like the calm before a storm. Lin Yanqiu was alone, facing the sect leader on the high seat, as if facing an abyss. The sect leader's face was ashen, disappointment overflowing, his gaze piercing Lin Yanqiu like a sharp sword. "I am disappointed that you failed to eliminate Shen Ye." The sect leader's voice was icy and piercing, echoing in the main hall. Lin Yanqiu silently endured the sect leader's anger, as if frozen by the cold. The air in Qingyun Hall seemed to freeze. A storm was about to descend. As night fell, Qingyun Palace was shrouded in a deathly silence, the darkness as thick as ink. The hall was dim, and the oppressive atmosphere seemed to solidify, making it suffocating. A figure in black quietly emerged from the shadows, as elusive as a ghost. A deep voice echoed in the empty hall, and the air of conspiracy spread like a venomous snake. The air is thick with tension. A battle for the Ember Blade is about to erupt. Within Qingyun Hall, undercurrents surged, and a bloody storm seemed inevitable. The night was as dark as ink, and Shen Ye leaped into the cold pool, splashing water and stirring up chills. The biting cold instantly enveloped his entire body, and spiritual power, like an invisible giant hand, was pressing down on him. He struggled desperately in the darkness, each breath feeling like walking on a knife's edge. The deep pool is unfathomable, and Shen Ye's figure gradually disappears into the endless darkness. In the depths of the dim and cold pool, he held his breath, the icy water piercing his skin like a sharp blade. In the faint light, an ancient altar loomed, emitting an unsettling aura. On the altar, the fragments of the ember blade lay quietly, as if telling a forgotten story. The power of the seal surges in the darkness, and the ancient runes flicker with an eerie light. In the depths of the cold pool, dark shadows loom, as if formless things are watching this silence. The shards of the ember blade lie dormant, awaiting the moment of their awakening. That figure seemed to be assessing whether Shen Ye had the qualifications to control this power. A silent probing, undercurrent surging, the gears of fate turning quietly. Sunlight streamed into the empty new home, making Shen Ye's figure appear particularly lonely. He slowly put down the luggage in his hand. Dust danced in the light, as if telling the story of the years. The weight of the past loomed over him, making it hard for him to breathe. He walked to the window, gazing into the distance, his eyes filled with a mixture of confusion and challenge regarding the future. The new house was empty and desolate, with only the sound of his heavy breathing echoing in the room. He clenched his fists, as if to encourage himself, preparing to face the unknown challenge. The scorching sun blazes on the training ground. He tightly grips the broken sword, the blade shimmering with a faint light. He held his breath and concentrated, pouring all his strength into the sword, and the broken sword emitted a low hum. The sword light was like a rainbow. He wielded the broken sword. The sword energy crisscrossed, cutting through the air. The broken sword seemed to regain new life in his hands, each swing containing immense power. His figure was as swift as lightning, and his swordsmanship was exquisite, bringing the potential of the broken sword to its fullest extent. On the training ground, he became one with the broken sword. His swordsmanship advanced by leaps and bounds, and he radiated a new brilliance. Sunlight streamed through the high windows of the library. Dust motes danced in the beams, and the ancient atmosphere was overwhelming. Shen Ye's figure disappeared into the sea of books, his brow furrowed, as if engaged in a silent dialogue with the ancient texts. The yellowed pages rustle under my fingertips. The secret of the ember blade is hidden in the dust of history. His eyes were like torches, searching between the lines, not letting go of any clues. An air of conspiracy hangs heavy, and the truth is about to surface. Flames danced beneath the alchemic furnace, filling the room with the fragrance of herbs. He was completely focused, determined to create an unparalleled spiritual pill. He carefully put in the rare medicinal materials, fearing that the slightest negligence would ruin this carefully refined elixir. Flames soared, and medicinal herbs tumbled in the furnace. He stared intently at the changes inside the furnace, not daring to relax in the slightest. As time passed, the elixir gradually took shape, and a powerful energy fluctuation spread throughout the alchemy room. He suddenly opened his eyes, a sharp glint flashing within them. Success or failure hinges on this one move. The elixir is complete. He happily looked at the elixir in his hand, which radiated a dazzling light, and his heart was filled with a sense of accomplishment. Sunlight penetrates the ancient window lattices. Light and shadow dance in the room, and the air is filled with the tranquil scent of sandalwood. Shen Ye stood quietly in front of the elder, his gaze calm, as if listening to the whispers of time. The elder's kind face and profound gaze seemed capable of piercing through all the world's illusions. The elder seemed to sense the potential within Shen Ye and decided to offer him guidance and support. Late at night, within the Inner Sect, Shen Ye and Lin Yanqiu stood facing each other, the air thick with a murderous aura. Shen Ye stared intently at the other person with eyes as cold as stars, as if trying to see through Lin Yanqiu. "I will expose your betrayal and take back everything that belongs to me." Shen Ye's voice echoed in the empty hall, filled with undeniable determination. Facing Shen Ye's anger, Lin Yanqiu's lips curled into a contemptuous sneer, as if everything was under control. The wind howled through the gaps in the palace, like weeping and complaining, adding to the oppressive atmosphere. The air seemed to freeze. A storm was about to erupt within this Inner Sect. Under the cover of night, the cold pond of West Peak exuded a solemn and murderous aura in its tranquility. As Shen Ye's figure slowly emerged, his eyes were as sharp as cold stars, staring at the bottomless pool, as if to penetrate the endless darkness. The air is filled with cold mist, and he looks solemn, ready to face the unknown challenges. For the scattered fragments of the ember blade, he will spare no effort, even if it means facing the most terrifying enemy. He slowly raised his arm, and a powerful aura erupted instantly, foreshadowing an earth-shattering battle about to begin. Shen Ye's new chapter is about to officially begin in this cold pool, under the baptism of blood and fire.